You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to In Conversation With. I'm your host, Jairzinho, and with me today is none other than the one and only Jonas. This singer, songwriter, and multinational instrumental and neo-soul artist who has widely been held by the international music press as the godfather of Scandinavian soul. Throughout the course of his 2+ decade career, the acclaimed Danish artist has managed to be remarkably prolific, continuously releasing copious amounts of original music, which he has supported with tours such as our very own UK icon, Omar Lightfoot, John Legend, Joss Stone, Lyndon David Hall, and Bilal, but to name a few. Among a lengthy and growing list of others, adding to a growing prolific across Scandinavia and elsewhere, Rendbo, that's his surname, Jona Rendbo, won Artist of the Year and Best Video at the 2016 Scandinavian Soul Music Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Jonas. How you doing, sir? Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Most definitely, man.
There was some introduction.
Well, I didn't get onto the higher heights of that. I'm going to leave that for this conversation that we're going to have today, because we've got a lot to share with the world right about now. But first of all, let me start off by saying a Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. It's been a joyous one so far, and I'm sure 2024 is going to be bringing a lot of great things as we have to share with our audience this evening, and also with the rest of the world throughout 2024 and beyond. So let's take it back, because for those people that don't know you, like I know, I'm taking it back to the beginning, or around about the beginning, 2005, I believe it was, with Sweet Dreams Guaranteed. Now,
yeah.
when I had that CD in my hand, obviously I didn't know Jonas. Okay, put it on, took a listen. Back then, I was doing a particular show called the Lady Seduction Selection, and when I took a listen before playing this in my show, I thought, yeah, people don't know about this guy, but they're going to know about him. Little did I know, you was actually in a former band when I kind of done my research, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The album Sweet Dreams Guaranteed resonated with a lot of people. Now, some of the connoisseurs back in the day, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a load of great tracks on there that if you go back in your collection, you will remember. So was that about the time when it started for you with Sweet Dreams, or can we go a little bit back further?
Well, it was my first solo album, but of course I've been playing music for many years prior to that, and just before releasing my first solo album, I was in a group called Jones, there we go. Which was sort of like a poppy R&B soul group.
The track that stands out for me that made it here was the track called Sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the biggest single, I think, from the album we did.
That's right.
Made it to number 1 on the mainstream radio here. Woo. And sort of made the way for us to tour. When we started recording that album, we teamed up with a British producer called Pete Smith.
Okay, yeah.
Previously had produced Randy Crawford and Sting and Joe Cocker and Hot House Flowers, a lot of big names. So he came to Denmark to produce that album with us, and we had also found ourselves a manager who was another Brit called Keith Harris, which some of you might know from his work. He was the personal manager for Stevie Wonder for 7 years in the golden years in the 70s.
The golden years, he says. Okay.
And he was also managing Linton David Hall and Omar.
Yeah.
So actually, before we started recording that album and that we teamed up with Pete Smith, the producer, we had a meeting in London with Omar to talk to him about possibly producing the album. So that's a long time ago. That was in 98.
90, going back. There's history there. So I want to talk about your upbringing just a little bit still. So you are born a native Scandinavian artist, born in Copenhagen?
Born in Esbjerg, which is on the west side of Denmark.
Denmark, okay.
The west coast. It's where you used to take the ferry to England from Esbjerg to Harwich.
Okay, all right. So how did you get turned on to? Was it always soul music for you? Because obviously, a lot of people, they look at soul music and it's a spiritual thing from within. How did it start for you? What turned you on to the soul music?
Well, I grew up with my parents' record collection, and there was a lot of different music in there that I dug into. My dad was into all these the blues giants and a lot of hippie stuff, a lot of 70s, 60s and 70s music, the whole hippie era, but also, like Stones and the Beatles and stuff. But my mom's records was more like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and of course Stevie Wonder. So I think the first album that I stole from my parents' record collection was Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder.
I'm glad you said that. You stole it from your records. You didn't borrow it, you stole it, because that's fine.
After that, it lived in my room for the next 15 years.
Many of my father's records just disappeared from his selection and ended up in my room myself. So I can definitely relate to that.
That's to this day still in my top 5 of greatest albums of all time.
Awesome.
But I think one of the and of course listening to that album and just over and over listening to that album had a huge influence on me. But one of the biggest moments for me was when I heard Ray Charles sing Hard Times.
Okay, all right.
I think I was about 7 or 8 years old, maybe. Yeah. And of course, the soul, the pain of what he was singing about was difficult for a very young boy, a white boy from Denmark. Not much that I could relate to in that way, but it touched me so deeply. The emotion and the story that he was telling.
That's what soul music's about. That's feeling from the soul, basically. And if it resonates with you, and it resonates with everybody, some people just are not true to it or open to it, and they're kind of a bit rigid. But like yourself, I can imagine from a young age, absorbed it, listened to it, the instrumentals that was being played with a lot of passion, and this resonated with you, which is why it comes through in a lot of your music to date. Absolutely fantastic. So you said your dad had a vast collection. Was he a musician or in any kind of form?
No, none of my parents were musicians. We had a piano at home, and my mom used to play when she was a child or a teenager, but in my childhood, there was nobody playing that piano.
Okay, so you're the first.
Yeah, it was nice to have a piano in the house. It gave me an an idea of, there was something I could do there.
Yeah.
But my dad actually built me my first guitar out of a calabash.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what a calabash is?
Of course I know what a calabash is. I'm West Indian.
Of course, but for those who don't know, it's
Indeed.
like a fruit with a shell.
That's right.
That's a wooden shell.
Yeah. You allow that to dry out and cure in the sun and all that, and it becomes. We also use it as a food utensil, as a bowl, and we eat out of it as well. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
So he built me my first guitar out of a calabash.
Yeah.
I cut it in half, and that made out the body, and then put a neck on it and some strings, and I would sit and just listen to the radio and try to find notes that fit the music that I heard.
Very innovative.
And I built, probably also when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I built my first drum kit out of these cans, like plastic cans that my mom had washing powder in. So when she was done with the cans, I took them and made a drum kit out of them.
Wow. We are going to be digging deep into this guy's history, and you've traveled quite a bit, extensively, in a matter of fact, over the years. Let us know some of the places your music has taken you to.
Well, I've traveled the world a lot, mostly as a backing musician for other artists. I've been touring for more than 20 years with this Danish group called Outlandish, which is 3 rappers, one Moroccan, one Cuban, and one Pakistani. So it's 2 Muslims and a Catholic.
Nice.
And then the band consisting of a lot of different nationalities as well.
Okay.
They have a name all over the world, so we've been traveling everywhere. But just this December, we were in Saudi Arabia to play a big festival. But with my own music, I've been traveling in different places in Europe and in Pakistan, in East Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and a couple of times in the States.
So, being a person, an artist that has traveled the world to do your music, from where you had your humble beginnings to what I would say a very bright future, touring the world, doing stuff around the world. Not a lot of people get that opportunity. How does that make you feel, and what kind of person does that make you, looking back at yourself?
I feel extremely blessed and privileged to have been able to travel the world with music. It's probably, all of these places that I've been in the world with music is something that I will carry with me always, like traveling in Africa and playing my own music. I'm always going to remember that, and I'm always going to be grateful for that, So when I was a child and I started playing music, some of those things I would only dream about.
That's right.
And I feel like those dreams I had as a child, I've gone way beyond all of that already. So I feel extremely blessed, and of course it has shaped me as a person.
Yes.
I think the best thing I would like to do for my children is to make them see as much of the world as possible.
Amen.
And traveling with music, you get the opportunity to see the world in a different way, in a way that you could never do as a regular tourist.
Yeah, seeing all those different cultures and the way people live, and getting down to ground roots and basics with the people, I'm sure is a very humbling experience. And you come across to me as a very humbled man, very proud man at that as well. See the smiling.
Thank you.
Indeed.
I do feel very humbled, to have been able to do all of these things, and to, having been able to live off doing music in many different forms. I still do. It's not just me as a solo artist. You know,
Right.
I do a lot of things that all has to do with music,
Indeed.
and I feel extremely fortunate and blessed.
Cool. So let's give the audience a little taste of what we're talking about, because this is one conversation that is going to be an education to you. But like I said, you was first introduced to myself in 2005. The album was Sweet Dreams Guaranteed. The track that I'm going to pick right now is one of my favorites from that particular album, Love Letters.
Oh,
This one, it hit home for a lot of people back then when the album was released, and it was played up and down the country, basically. Give us a little insight to the background of Love Letters. It speaks for itself, but we want to hear it from Jonas.
well, I met one of my musical partners that I've been doing music with since sometime before I did my first solo album. He's called Daniel Fridell,
Okay.
Swedish keyboard player and multi-instrumentalist and producer, who was living here in Copenhagen, and we teamed up. And he had the same love for soul music that I had, and Love Letters, I think, was one of the first songs we did together. At least one of the earlier songs that we did that made it to the album, and it's got sort of a bluesy, dragging vibe.
Indeed.
I've grown up with a lot of blues music, so you know.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to drop that on right about now. We're going to take a pause for the course and listen to this particular track. When we come back, we are going to be delving inside Jonas's catalog. Stay close. Remember, this is iLive UK. Love Letters, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi everybody, it's Jonas, and right now you're listening to some of the best music from around the world on iLive UK.
Music to my eyes, you were a beauty blinding honey pie. Still in faded pictures, blinding beauty, you shine. Life was crazy sometimes, you were there to ease my pain. Yeah. But now I'm left here living lonely, your loving's still on my brain. Yeah. You see, I tried to call your name out loud, but no one answered back. No, baby, can't we talk about it? Oh, is that too much to ask? Yeah. Love letters leading back to you. Yeah. Remembering my yesterday's pain you put me through. Love letters leading me on and on. Bringing back memories, but yesterday's are gone. Yeah. I can almost taste you here, anticipation in your words. Written promises on paper, softly spoken, never heard. But no one can hold these thoughts. I'm thinking about you, baby girl. Baby girl. Wishing wonders on a star. I wish I had you in my world. Hey, hey. You see, I tried to dial your number up, but I always get that answer tone. Yeah. Can we pick up where we left, baby? Cause without you, this house is not a home. No. Love letters leading back to you. Leading back to you. Yeah. Remembering my yesterday's pain you put me through. Pain you put me through. Yeah. Love letters, leading me on, bringing back memories when yesterday's are gone. Yeah. Love letters, leading back to you, leading back to you, baby. Yeah. Remember yesterday's pain you put me through. Love letters, on and on. You're bringing back memories, yesterday's are gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? Love letters. Now, that particular track, or should I say that particular album, is still available. It's still available. This great independent artist, Jonas, he does have a website, and that is jonasmusic.dk. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
If for those who are a little bit illiterate, because you know what, I don't rule no one out, it's JONAS music, all one word, .dk, D for Delta, K for Keith. There you go. Make sure you check it out. It's still available. So let's go through the albums and EPs that you've had over the time, barring the features that you've been on, and obviously you've worked with a plethora of artists. So we've just talked about Sweet Dreams Guaranteed, 2005, fantastic. After that, my records tell me 2009 you came with another great album called Wait. Now, the spelling of this, when I looked at it, I was like, WAITT. What's the extra T for?
It stands for We Are In This Together.
There you go. There you go, people. So wait, we are in this together. So if you don't know, now you know. So this album, how did this come by? Because like 2005, you gave us Sweet Dreams Guaranteed. We embraced that. It gave us that introduction to yourself, that neo soul vibe of that time. Then Wait is somewhat a little bit different. This shows the eclecticness and the alter side of your soul being. And you mentioned coming up with your parents, the music you used to listen to. There's a lot of influence on that. So talk to us about this particular album.
Well, you know, with the first album, of course, I was very much influenced by the whole neo soul movement, D'Angelo, Maxwell, Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
Prior to that, with the group I was in, I was listening to, well, first all of the New Jack Swing stuff, you know, which led to what we know as modern day R&B.
Yes, indeed.
And then the whole neo soul movement came about, and that was sort of what I was trying to encapsulate with the first album. With the second album, I wanted to try an experiment, something that, as someone who's always been playing in bands and being a musician, I always dreamt about recording in the old school way, you know, where you're in a studio, you're a band playing, everybody's playing at the same time, and
Yes.
everything is recorded live. So with the Wait album, my idea was that I wanted to get together a group of musicians that were all my favorite musicians that I had ever played with or not played with,
Yes.
So we had 3 days in the studio, and none of the musicians knew any of the songs before we met up in the studio. And so with each song, I just sat down in front of them with an acoustic guitar and played them the song so they could learn the chords and the structure of the song. And then we just went in and pressed record.
I was going to ask you that. You jumped the gun there, because I was going to ask, what do you prefer? Do you prefer that organic, you go in and it's almost like a jam session and you get the ideas, or do you kind of set it up? Just answer that. Thank you.
I don't have a preferred method. I think my preferred method of creating music is to always try to do something that I haven't done before. Recording, even writing a song or recording a song, producing a song, you can start in so many different ways.
Okay.
Of course, with the Wait album, the songs were written before we met in the studio, but the way the songs and the productions were shaped was all very much up to the interpretation of the musicians who were in the room. Okay. So I had an idea that I wanted to try this, but I didn't expect it to come out in the way that it did. It way surpassed my expectations. We recorded everything live. All the lead vocals on the album is also live. So we did maybe 3 or 4 takes of each song and then just chose the best version. And then after we recorded some organ, some strings, and some backing vocals, and that was it.
Awesome. So for you, lyrics first or music first?
No preferred method. It could be both. It could be, a song could start for me with singing a melody in the shower, or it could start with me building a beat from scratch, or it could start with some lyric, a line that I come up with, or a theme for the song, or whatever. But most of the time, I would say that lyrics come last.
Okay. Interesting. We're gonna get back to that bit there. Why does the lyrics come last? But you'll explain. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a track off of that, because this album, like I said, all the albums are still readily available. Just jump on, open up another tab. Don't close this one down, but open up another one, jonasmusic.dk. The track that I've selected off of this particular album resonates with me, because like in the UK, we like our bass lines, and there's a particular track on there, and I actually believed that Omar was on this, but obviously you've educated me and you've let me know that he is not actually on this particular track. However, his signature music is. So I know he had influence, obviously he worked with Omar, his brother, the Scratch Professor, etc., etc. The track that I'm talking about is a track called Hopes Are High. Talk to us a little bit about that before we drop it.
Yeah, well, as I said, as early as 98, I met Omar for the first time. And then in 2000 and what was that, 7 or 8? I think it was 2008.
Right.
The year before I released Wait.
Yeah.
I had married a Londoner and moved to London, and my wife was pregnant. We were in Mayday Hospital in Thornton Heath.
Thornton Heath, yeah.
And it was this huge waiting room, and there was only us and one other couple, and the other couple was Omar and his wife, she was also pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
And we looked at each other across the room. It's like, is that it? And we linked up and turned out that he was living right around the corner and had his backyard studios in his back garden. So we met up and were doing some music together, and I also met his brother Scratch.
Yeah.
And Scratch and I have been making music together ever since. So every time I'm in London, I always try to hook up with him and Omar sometimes. And yes, Hopes Are High, I think, was maybe the first song that Scratch and I wrote together. And there's another song on the album that both Scratch and Omar was making with me called Sensational. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because Hopes Are High, the bass line sounds very much like Omar's The Man.
Most definitely. A track that it's a fabulous track right here. It's played everywhere.
But this song, Hopes Are High, was before The Man.
That's right. Exactly.
So funny fact is the guy that I was telling you before that produced the first song you played, Love Letters, Daniel Friedel.
Yeah.
He plays on this song as well. He plays on the whole Wait album as keyboard player and executive producer. But he also co-wrote and produced The Man for Omar.
There we go. There we have it, people. Knowledge for you. I told you it's going to be a big one. Jonas, who is our very special guest here on In Conversation, we're going to drop this particular track now. Like I said, it resonates Omar. Jonas has just told you this was before The Man. So you take a listen. This is Hopes Are High. Jonas, take a listen.
What's up, people? This is Jonas, and I've just stopped by to pick up iLive Radio UK, who always supports independent artists and their music.
Was it all just a dream? So it seemed, only here for 1 minute. Gone with the wind. Did I trip or did I fall? I must have slipped, 'cause my ears to the ground. And it seems I need to be hearing something you said was showing me I'm not always living out my dream. And now I know it's not wrong for me to be dreaming of better
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What did you think? Really, I know you've opened up another tab and you've gone to purchase that right now. You've done the right thing. That album there is, to me, it's a very nice album, and it's a fully rounded, fully bodied album, which has that kind of Al Green element to it. So it's taking it back. Hope you appreciate, love that. Thank you for giving that to us, Jonas. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
I think it was you saying that it was not too far in between when the Roots made the album with Al Green, right?
Yes, that's right. Of course.
Or Questlove and some of the Roots. They did an album with Al Green that sounds very old school and live played.
Yeah, it's a must listen. It's something that you can just put on and just continue listening. One thing I've noticed before we go on further, one thing I've noticed about your music, it's you're not gonna always hear your music in a place like the club, or it's not that type of sound. Some of the tracks you get it, but this is more put the album on, chill back and listen. It's that, because there's a story that you tell in your music that I noticed. Listening to not all of them, but the majority of them, there's a story behind most of your albums, which takes me to the next album, which is 4 Till Sis. I hope I said that correctly. First Till Sis.
Yeah.
My Danish is not great, people, but I'm trying. I'm giving it a try. First Till Sis. This is an album that is totally written in Danish. And once you listen to this, guys, from you get past the great production and the great instrumentalists the musicians that's on this, you'll start listening to the words and find that this kind of resonates. You don't even need to understand it, but it resonates. Tell us a little bit about First Till Sis.
Well, the album took, I think, about 4 years for me to finish. I had a distribution deal, licensing deal with the Scandinavian label called Playground.
Right.
So they also released the first 2 albums, but they had been on my case about doing something in Danish.
Okay.
I think the label manager thought that I would be like a Danish Justin Timberlake or something. Or maybe he thought that there was a hole in the market, for this sort of music in Danish. Right. I think most Danish artists create music in Danish and see their target group as Denmark, whereas I've always been doing more outside of Denmark than in Denmark. So I didn't really see the point. I was very reluctant to do anything in Danish because I didn't really see the point, because I'd always been getting more attention from US or from UK. I did my first tour in US with the first album. It took some convincing before I gave into the idea of doing something in Danish. And then I started working on the album with a Danish producer called Farfar. Farfar and Fresh Eye. 2 Danish reggae producers who've done a lot of really big stuff with Jamaican artists and a lot of big Danish artists as well. So the first song I did for the Danish project was a song called Undskyld, which means sorry in Danish.
Okay. All right.
And then my collaboration with them didn't go as I wanted it to, so I decided, okay, I'm just going to do it by myself. So I had to become confident enough with my own production skills that I could, do the whole album myself, producing the whole album myself. So it was a long journey. First of all, finding a sound. I wanted to do something that was more electronic, more R&B, bit melancholic.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the vibe, the sound that I was going for, but also for me to find my own language with the Danish, a way of expressing myself in this sort of music that I thought was fit. Because the Danish artists that in Danish that I had been listening to growing up was nothing like this music. It was something completely different, so sort of trying to merge my Danish influences with the R&B electronic sound.
Well, I must admit, in listening to this, and like I said, I haven't listened to all albums, but I listened to the majority of the tracks on this particular album, and it's not like anything that I've heard before. Now, when I say that, is like you will hear R&B, soul done in various different languages, but thank you for actually doing this, because music, when you originally make it, doesn't always hit the first time. Sometimes it's like it has to grow or mature like fine wine. So listening to it like now, there's certain tracks on there which is relevant and will definitely hit the ears of the listeners and give them that good feel kind of vibe. Once, like as I said, you pass that kind of language barrier and you listen and you home in on that, it does hit home. So I'm glad that you actually went forward and created this. Thank you very much for giving us this. Thank you very much. You mentioned about your
it's weird for me that someone who's not Danish speaking would appreciate this, because it's well, the thing about it, if you're a lover of music, and this is just fundamental, I listen to thousands of tracks, and you have to kind of grow ears that go beyond listening to just a production or just the lyrics. You have to kind of get into that artist's mind and their soul to feel what they're feeling, so you kind of become one. So not everything may resonate because each individual person has their own preference, but if you can open up your ears and listen, when I say listen, I mean really listen to a track, you'll hear things in that actually do resonate with you, and you can appreciate love, how it's been built, the musicians that's on there, that's put their part in, feel that vibe, and also when the vocalist has put their bit on it, how it all comes together. Yeah, no, but you're right.
Not to mention the mixing and the mastering that it takes to actually get that quality come through. So again,
you're right. I also listen to music in languages that I don't understand and get something from it. But
I'm a great lover. Sorry to go off tangent. I'm a great lover of Fela Kuti. Don't understand
the
word, but love the way he pronounces, the way he projects, and the music behind it. It's fantastic. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us for the first time, Jonas Rendbo is our in conversation guest today, and we're talking history, we're talking about where he's come from, how he is a instrumentalist, a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments do you play actually? You've mentioned the guitar, obviously. Go for it.
Well, I think, of course, my main instrument is singing, but I've been playing bass and guitar for many years. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert, but I do it until somebody calls my bluff, I usually say.
We call that here jack of all trades, master of many.
But, when writing music and producing, I mostly use the keys. But I'm really not great at playing keys. It's just sometimes it's just I put my fingers where I think I find something nice. It's sometimes it's maybe also an advantage that I don't know everything I'm doing, but I'm searching.
Yeah, no, understand that complicitly.
And then of course I don't really play drums. I just less than a year ago, I got my first drum kit. So now I'm practicing to play drums, but I'm really terrible.
Okay.
Mostly I create beats by with programming drums.
Right. Okay. So before we just quickly go and just something you just pointed out there. So you create beats by programming. What is your preference there, or does it just depend on the scenario? You know, real drums or programmed drums?
Depends. I love modern R&B, you know, and I've been listening to hip hop since '83.
Okay.
So I love sampled drums and loops and beats and programmed drums, but I also love live played drums if I can have them. If I can have a great drummer come and play something nice.
There we go.
But you know, like with the Wade album, everything was live played with great musicians. So the musicians who were in that session contributed a lot to the sound and the feel and everything that's happening on that album. Whereas if I'm in this room by myself, I can do everything. I can program drums and I can play instruments or program keyboards or whatever, and I can create the whole thing. But I think I prefer to collaborate with great musicians and get some of that, you know, finding a good balance between something that's modern or programmed and something that's live played. You know, that's always an interesting journey to go on, to find the balance between something programmed and something live.
Fantastic. Thank you. So before we speak about the next, not so much album, more EP, I mentioned family. You brought up family, obviously, where yourself and Omar met in the hospital. That's where your children are born. So with yourself as a musician, and you know, I just want people to take a stock of where a musician's mind is at and the levels that they go to actually bring us the great music that we beckon for, appreciate and love. And we're always behind a musician or artist to say, give us more, very speedily. Now, you mentioned family. You are married with a wife, of course, and you have children. Where do you find time in your busy schedule of being a musician, in your busy schedule of going around the world, etc., where does the family come into this? Because we're always asking more of yourselves. Where does the family come in?
They're always there. You know, I'm an adult. I have to, you know, figure out how to prioritize my time. I think with being a husband, but most definitely becoming a parent, you learn to be, you grow to be more efficient with your time.
Right.
You know, so if I have a couple of hours to be in the studio or, you know, create music with somebody, then I've practiced a lot being more efficient with my time. And I think it's something that it's a skill that you can hone, you know. You a lot of artists, a lot of creators talk about, you know, they have to have that inspiration come, and you know, sometimes it takes a lot of time, which is of course right, but I've found out that I can learn to be creative on the spot. You know, there's things that I can practice or put in place so that I can be creative even if I just have a small amount of time.
Good. Because, you know, I often hear, and not regularly, but I hear it still, that being a musician, being an artist can make or break relations, and it's broken many.
Yeah.
But
I have to say that I'm extremely fortunate to have a wife who married me for who I am. She's not trying to change me, you know. She knows what she married. In any relationship, it's important that, you know, you're not gonna have a relationship with a person and think, oh, I can change them along the way, you know. You
But it's funny how, you know, people
have to grow together.
There you go. There you said it. Cut to the chase. You have to grow together. So you come with your individual, call it baggage, but you know, where you meet a person, both the twains shall meet, and then you kind of grow. So you appreciate love what this person brings to a relationship as the other does. And you know, as let's say your fame in your music, or you're more successful, they appreciate and need to support, as well as the children that may come up and grow, and they'll see daddy or mummy doing whatever. They hone in on that and then grow with you as well, which makes that a happy, you know, kind of unit. Not
well, of course, you know, there's priorities that you have to decide on. I'm not conducting my life in the same way that I did when I was 20 or
because you've grown.
25, you know, because I have a family that I need to support, and I have to take that responsibility on me. So I'm not going to be traveling around the world all the time just to chase up opportunities that doesn't necessarily have a financial gain. You know, I can't go on a tour if it doesn't pay. I need to pay the bills, you know. So I'm living my life differently now than I did when I was in my early 20s.
100%. There you go. Family comes first, and he prioritizes. So there you go. He's not just one definitely not big-headed person. Very humble, and you know, looks after his responsibilities and his priorities like any normal person should. There we go. I digress. Yeah. Let's forward fast. There we go. Forward fast to future. This is an EP that you put out, if I remember correctly, 2020. So this is the time where a lot of things change for all musicians, all artists worldwide.
For everybody.
Yeah, not just us musicians and so on and so forth, but it changed the world. You, as a musician, artist, had to take a stock. Now, I've spoken to many artists and musicians about how COVID affected them, but it seems like a lot of people embraced it and, you know, changed their structure, the way they went about doing music. How was it for you?
I loved being at home with my family, you know, but of course it put some limitations on how I could work with music. My main motivation and my drive has always been to create music in collaboration with other people. Yeah. And it still is, but in this situation I was sort of forced to think differently. So I set up a studio at home in my front room and was working on the music by myself. Sometimes exchanging stuff with people online, you know, getting some musicians or people to put down stuff on and send it to me.
Yeah.
But I decided, because I'd been working with Scratch Professor, Omar's brother, over many years, and we had a lot of songs in the bank.
Okay.
That I always wanted to finish, but it was difficult, you know. Yeah. So for that period, I decided, okay, well, let me take these. There was 4-5 songs that I was working on, let me try to finish these songs. And of course, I couldn't do it with Scratch. I would have preferred for us to be in the room together and finish them together. But
Of course.
we had some demos of the songs, and that was sort of the basis of what the production became. So I would recreate a lot of the parts that Scratch had put down, and finish the songs by myself at home. And then I got some people to put some extra elements on it and send it to me. But it's sort of it was also an experiment for me to see how much I could do by myself. And I didn't think that I would enjoy it as much as I did, and it also made me more confident in my abilities as a producer.
Okay.
So that was a positive. And this EP, the songs with Scratch, and the next EP that I did called All Systems Go, that EP was done in the same way at home during Corona.
Like in the EP that you done, you actually with Forward Faster Future, you actually done a remix version of that. Took a listen, and the track stands out for me, which obviously is on the first one as well. Pick Me Up, and the one that I loved to the bone was which one was it? It was the Soul Rebel remix.
Okay.
That stood out for me. So is that your personal remix, or is that someone that you bought into remix that?
No, that's again my Swedish companion Daniel Fridell.
What is a big shout out to Daniel. Daniel, you're coming up next. I need to speak to you.
Daniel is, no lie, Daniel is the most amazing musician I have met in my life. He plays everything, and he's I usually say if there were 5 of him, he would be playing every instrument in my band.
Wow.
He's that great on every instrument. He's
I say this on every conversation that that I do. Big up or raise or make it known about the artist or the people that do the background stuff. Cool, you are the artist, you're Jonas, everybody knows, but we also need to know the rest of the band, the rest of the people that bring the elements to make the track fruititious. Basically, they need to be accounted for. They need to get the highlight as well. So
no, but I started working with Daniel from early on, and I think one of the reasons why I didn't pursue being a producer myself was because I was working with someone like him. I could maybe write a song and put down a basic demo of something, and then I would just give it to him, and he would make it, do his magic. So working with someone like that, I didn't feel like I had any need to develop those skills myself, because I could always just, collaborate with him, and he would make it great.
Well, this is it. If it ain't broken, don't try to fix it yourself. Get someone that knows how to make it magic.
Something you should check out is I released an album with Daniel on my small label. The album is called Soul Rebel, actually. Daniel Fridell, and the title is Soul Rebel. But you can also find that on my website. That's an instrumental album, and I think you will love that.
I think I will. jonasmusic.dk, people. So like you just quickly mentioned All Systems Go, which that's another EP that you produced at the same time when we had Corona. And I'm glad to hear that, positiveness came out of such a tragic experience for the worldwide, basically. So that's absolutely fabulous, which kind of brings us up to today. And ladies and gentlemen, like you never knew, I know you've done your homework because you're supposed to. You listen to Jairzinho in conversation with. So this great artist will be releasing, or depending on how this has gone out, has already released his brand new album, Be the Light. Now, I've had a listen to it myself, and I must say, for 2024, there's not a lot of albums that's come out, but it's definitely one.
It's still early days.
It's no, we know it's still it's still early days. But listening to so much music, I can already say that this is one that is definitely going to stick in people's minds for a long time, just like Sweet Dreams Guaranteed did. Now, I'm gonna give people a little heads up. For me, there is 4 particular tracks on this album that stand out. Now,
can't wait to hear what that is.
You will find out. You will find out. And I listened to the album twice, and it's something that grows on you. It may not hit you straight away, but the more you listen to it, it definitely does grow on you. But 4 tracks hit me straight away. Now, nowadays, you get an album and, you go through it and you're lucky if you get 1 or 2. But because of where Jonas is coming from, his background, his legacy, people he's worked with, you can hear every track is different in its own right and can be played at different occasions. So I'm not just saying that because you're here, Jonas, but this is my tuned ear, let's say. So it gives me kind of warm feeling. I actually played it to someone else secretly because it's not released yet, guys. Well, it may be now. But I played it to someone else and there was like, who is this guy? So I didn't tell them who you were. I just said, listen to this. And there was like, this is, the word they used was prolific. So
okay,
there you go.
Wow.
So, I mean, making this particular album, it's taken a little time to come round and it's complete. Another great special thing is that this album will be released around your birthday time as well. So if I'm not being too forward, happy birthday.
Thank you.
A very, very great milestone. But let's talk about this particular album. The blood, the sweat, the tears that went into making this fabulous, especially the 4 tracks for me, this fabulous album.
I want to know what those 4 tracks are, but I don't know where to start. It's been some songs that I have had in the vault for a long time that I've just now finished. Some tracks are newer, but again, with the last 2 EPs I did, I sort of started believing in myself more as a producer, and I enjoyed the process of trying to take the songs as far as I could myself, with playing most of the instruments and producing it and mixing it. There's a few songs that has some featured musicians. Like there's 2 songs that has horns on them, which I can't play. So I've tried to do most of it myself, which of course makes it more personal for me. Growing up with music and starting to do my own music, you try to, when you're finding your sound, you're mimicking your idols, and you try to sound like them. You try to find that tone, that way of phrasing, the way of playing, the grooves, But I think more and more I've found my own sound, and in some ways, actually, this album is maybe going a bit back to my first album, Sweet Dreams Guaranteed.
Okay.
In terms of the neo soul sound. You know, I've tried different things with Wait. It was the live played studio album. With the Danish album First to Cease, it was the more electronic R&B type sound with the Danish lyrics, and then with the 2 EPs, it was, you know, first the Scratch Professor project, which has a lot of his fingerprint on it.
Right.
And then the All Systems Go EP was then coming a bit back to the neo soul sound, and then
This is definitely
even more with this album, I think.
no
Also
doubt
finding my own sound, or coming to terms with what is my sound.
Right.
What is it, as a vocalist and a songwriter and musician and producer.
So, like you mentioned there, like, what is your sound? I think your sound, and this is just coming from me, my observation, there is no particular one sound with you. And this is because you always try to take it somewhere different. You, as we would say here, you create music outside of the box. It's not your norm. So you know you're gonna, when you listen to Jonas, or you hear, oh, Jonas is putting something out, you know you're gonna get something different, not just your regular, you know, 4x4. So you're not gonna get regular sound. You're gonna get something that's gonna lift you, something that you're gonna have to just like kind of squint your eyes and, did you hear that? You listen to. So look, I need to tell you this. From me to you, the 4 tracks that really stand out, and I'll tell the worldwide this now, like, get the album, go online right now, jonasmusic.dk. It's available on Bandcamp. Go and cop this, support this independent artist, because you know what, it's been a long time coming, and these artists, especially the one that's sitting in front of me, 2+ decades in the game, you know, it's just great that we can show appreciation. The money part of it, cool, is always welcoming, and they love that as well, and they want the support. But just take a listen, appreciate, send a message, a comment on how you feel about this particular album. And more importantly, if you see or hear about this artist performing anywhere, try and get there and support them as well. It all counts. But going back to the tracks for me, and I know you're waiting to say it. Just say it.
What's he gonna say?
Top of the list for me has to be the track called Turn Down the Noise. Top.
Okay.
Now, UK people, you will understand the moment you press play on Turn Down the Noise, you are going to crank that up. Because again, we in the UK are about bass lines. We love that kind of party mode, something that can give us that kind of 2-step swing. Turn Down the Noise does that, no problem. Second track for me is You Are Amazing. Now, I've got to send a big shout out to Taxman, because when Taxman hit me up and said, Jairzinho, you need to speak to Jonas. The track, I've sent it to you. You Are Amazing. I was like, I actually at the time, I was drinking a cup of tea, and I had to put the cup of tea down and like rewind. And I was like, this is Jonas this is the same Jonas. I was like, he's brought it back. He has brought it back to Sweet Dreams Guaranteed. So listening to your catalog, it's like your catalog is very eclectic, alternate soul in there, the neo soul, etc., etc. But with this particular album, you brought it back. You Are Amazing speaks volumes. That done it there.
Thank you.
The next track for me was Be the Light. So this is again alternate soul, which I like hearing different sounds. And again, I think you said you self-produced this one, even though it was mastered by someone else. You produced this. Be the Light for me took me to a place of relax, close my eyes, lights off, chill. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. And the other track, now between Be the Light and what was the other track? The other track was hold on, where is it? It wasn't Paris, it was Love. It's Love is the Cure. Can't remember now. I think it's Love is the Cure. Yeah, between those two tracks, I was kind of torn because again, there's a message. Like I said earlier, there's a story behind your music, and Love is the Cure speaks for itself. So those are the 4 tracks that done it for me. I mean, people will beg to differ, but I guarantee UK listeners, turn down the noise. That track there, and I'm saying it right here on iLive UK, mark my words, every radio station will be playing that particular track. I am not taking back my talk. That one there, turn down the noise. You Are Amazing. It will get the popularity and it will go up the charts, but the one that will blow, turn down the noise. I said it here first.
Wow, I'm so happy you say that, because of course, me as the artist, it's difficult for me to pick out a song that should be the single or the focus track or whatever. But yeah, and a lot of people have mentioned that song, and it's fortunate because we chose that as the focus track of the album. So I hope that you're right.
No, I am right. No, don't hope. I'm right.
I'm happy you think.
So once again, I can't say enough. Please, people, open up another tab. You should have it open by now, and you should be purchasing this away. You should have got it already. If you haven't, jonasmusic.dk, JONAS music, all one word, .dk. Available on Bandcamp. If you don't want to go on Bandcamp, go on his website and just purchase this. As I said, more importantly, it's independent artists. They work relentlessly. Support them in any way you can. Send a message, thanks, gratitude, comments. There you go. So congratulations and a very happy birthday to you again. Come on, man.
Thank you.
Do you mind me saying how old?
No, of course not.
You've reached that milestone, the big 50.
Yes.
You don't get to feel no different. I mean, I've been there, done that. All it lets you know, or all you should feel really, is that appreciation for being on this blessed earth, 50 years strong, and you're able to leave a legacy for someone else to follow and appreciate, love. And we've got that with your music. Your family's got you in body and mind and spirit and the rest of it. So congratulations. I raise my glass to you. Happy 50th, sir. Happy 50th.
Thank you.
On that note, let's drop some music like it's hot. I'm gonna play that track for you people out there right now. The one that I love to the bone off of this particular album, Turn Down the Noise. UK, it's time to stand up. Let's get the groove on. Turn Down the Noise of the brand new album by Jonas, Be the Light. Take a listen. Take it away, Jonas.
Thank you. This is Jonas, and you're listening to iLive UK, changing the way you listen to music.
This digital life, alternative news, and no one believes an easy divide. This shouting on both sides, impossible to hear. This definite fake fact puts us all on the back foot. So just one to follow. This hate is on both sides. It's easy to feed, yeah. This fear that has fed you is coming right back to bite. So just turn down the noise, yeah. I open a game changer. Turn down the noise. I can't hear what you're saying. Just love, 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 love one another. Just love, 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 love one another. Fixed in the way you thought it should be, so the world threw you sideways. Tied to a thing you want to believe, bent so this won't break you. Fixed in the way you thought it should be, so the world threw you sideways. Tied to a thing you want to believe, bent so this won't break you. Love, love, just love one another. One another. Love, 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 love one another.
Turn down the noise. Speaks for itself, speaks volumes, and I hope you appreciate that. Once again, can't say it enough. jonasmusic.dk. Get yourself a copy of this album, Be the Light. And once again, let us know by sending us a line, info@iliveuk.com. You know, we'll send any comments that you want onto Jonas. All right, simple as that. Okay, so happy birthday again, and you know, I hope this album does immensely well. I know it will. We'll be definitely featuring this as our album of the week, 100%, and getting so many other DJs to be playing this and supporting whatever way they can. And you, the listeners out there, like I said, do the thing, click the tab and let people know. So I want to find out about yourself in the sense of you have gone onto your website, and am I right in saying you have a label that you set up yourself with various different artists? I saw something on, and I was like, hold on a minute. I know we had a conversation and you mentioned something, but maybe I just didn't take it in properly until I went on the website and I saw all these great independent artists on there. Jairzinho clicked and had a listen to their music on Spotify, and I was like, hold on, Hunt, they are fabulous. I was like, okay, we got something going on. So talk to us. What is this? Behind Jonas, the artist, the musician, you actually run a record label?
Well, I started my own record label when I was working on my debut album, right. Sweet Dreams Guaranteed. Yeah. I signed a distribution deal with the Scandinavian label Playground, and for me to release my music through them, I had to have a label. So it's basically just, here we call it a CVR number. What is that, like a VAT number?
Yeah.
And the name. So clever as I was, I named the label Jonas Music. It was because I was just going to use it to release my own music with the distribution deal. But with the years, I've been doing more and more work with other artists as a songwriter or producer, and I thought that I could help some of them with releasing their music or the music that we were creating together. So that's gradually that's become a bigger part of what I do. You know?
See, this is fundamental, and the listeners will know how I am I'm a big advocate for supporting independent artists, and anybody. I mean, there's a plethora of artists that's coming up nowadays, and there's good one, there's bad ones in between, so on and so forth. But you, as an artist, musician yourself, are pushing up the next gen. Giving others the opportunity to have their light shone as well. Because I didn't know any of these artists until I went onto your website. So just to name a few, and guys, take a note, get your pen out, get your iPad out, phone out. Hunt. Correct me if I'm saying this wrong. Signe Anna.
Signe Anna, yeah.
Signe Anna. Cumbia Sound. Sweatshop. Pure. Obviously, Jonas himself. People on the Hill. Donita Rose, who you've mentioned before, and obviously David Friedel, you've mentioned before. These artists in their own right are fabulous. And I was like, hold on, why haven't I not heard that? Obviously, I listen to a lot of artists, but to be introduced to new up and coming artists like this, fabulous. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because the industry needs more people like yourself. There's many that's doing it, and I congratulate them, but I'm congratulating you because I can physically see it in front of me. It's there. Thank you. It's great.
No, but I don't think that I'm ever gonna be going on my pension. I hope that I can continue to create music until I'm not here anymore, and it doesn't have to be with me behind the microphone.
No.
It's my motivation is creating music together with other people. That's the biggest joy of all, and of course the older I get, the more I realize how great it is to pass on some of the experience that I've accumulated. Yeah.
So, passing on your skills, your attributes, and your knowledge to someone else and seeing them shine, obviously, is the pièce de résistance, as they say, for yourself. It's the icing on the cake. It's the reason why I would say, apart from, and it's not even looking at yourself and saying, oh, well, I've made it, I'm successful, because I don't think an artist looks at themselves in that light. It's just, okay, I'm creating something here which resonates and I feel good about. Maybe there's someone else out there that can benefit from it and tune into what I'm tuning into, and then you pass on that to someone else and they kind of relate where you're coming from, and then can kick off their own career from the education that you've given them. It's about the evolvement, because it's not always going to stick around you as one individual. Once you move along, someone else comes up, but they will remember where they planted their seed and where it grew from. So your legacy lives on forever. I think that's the best way that I can actually put that. That's what every artist, every musician kind of looks for, or should look for.
But success is very individual. I always say to everybody I work with, especially young artists, people who are just coming up in the music, you have to define for yourself what success means to you. True. Because the world wants to tell you what success is, which is in the music industry, you're told all these things that you're supposed to have a hit song, you're supposed to be played on the radio and have millions of streams and stuff, but that's not necessarily it. That's not necessarily what's going to make you happy. For me, it's just leaving something of myself in this world, and that gives me great joy.
100%. So, as successful as you may see yourself and as humble as you are at this present moment, if you didn't go down the road of music, what do you think you would have been doing?
I don't have a plan B. That's a difficult question, because as I told you a bit of my story, I started playing music when I was 6, 7 years old, and that's always been my dream. And I've managed to live a life with music and providing for myself and my family, and that's a huge accomplishment for me. That is successful to me, even though I'm not a big star or well-known artist in that sense. But I don't know. I think what music can do for me is it gives me a way of expressing myself, of creating something.
Okay.
So I think if it wasn't music, then it would probably be something else creative, like some sort of visual art. Or I love to work with people. I work a lot with young people. So I see a purpose for myself there.
Right.
Now it's passing on some of the experience I have gathered with music,
Yes.
passing that on to somebody else. But if I didn't have music, I would still find great joy in working with people.
Okay. So music has evolved over the decades, over the years, and we're now in the digital age, which you've embraced. And obviously, COVID came around, and you had to do what you had to do to adjust within that time. With the music that's out there now, a lot of digital stuff, and people are just throwing their stuff up on, whether it be Spotify, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and all the other different platforms that's out there. With the evolvement of music, nowadays music seems to be very disposable. That's the word I'm looking for. How do you feel about that as an artist? Is it something that you don't mind, or we need to get back to the old school?
I think it's a both and. There's 100,000 new songs released every day. So it's more difficult than ever to get attention for what you're putting out, and that's both good and bad. I think everybody can release music now, and of course, if you're signed to a major record label, they have the money to put behind it to give you your product the attention, but that's not necessarily the only way. As an independent artist, you can do a lot of things by yourself, and I think because of that, music has also gotten more creative. Back in the day, the record labels and the A&Rs, the talent scouts, would be the gatekeepers. Go out and find what was interesting, or maybe something they saw a spark of something. They listened to a band or at some small music venue and thought, okay, this I can shape these guys into something great, and then you would have maybe 2, 3, 4 albums to reach to what they saw in you, whereas now the record labels sign things that are already happening in some way.
Indeed.
Or they sign some upcoming artist that they think, okay, let's just try this. They sign them for 1, 2, 3 singles, and if it doesn't happen by the time they've released their second or third single, they're out again. So it's much more disposable.
So, as a record label owner and responsible for new artists' music or independent artists' music that's out there, and you're shining their light on them, do you feel that the independent artists that are managing themselves now, they're better off, or should they still be looking to be signed up to a particular label?
Depends on what you want to do. There's great freedom in being an independent artist. You can do whatever you want, but it's also difficult, to get the attention for your product. to get to the right outlets to get the airplay, the whatever the streams. How do you get somebody to listen if you don't end up on the right playlist on Spotify? Then you're done. That it's difficult, but I think with the digital age that we're in, with social media and everything, it's the audience who decides. And what is more important than anything, I think, is authenticity. The consumers, the followers, the fans, whatever you want to call it, they can see through whatever. They're better at deciphering
stuff.
What they are presented with. Than ever before.
Without doubt. Okay. I like that. So, we've been speaking quite deep just now. Want to go on a lighter note right now. We want to take another track from the brand new album, Be the Light. Again, please go and copy it. Please support Jonas in whatever way you can. The track I'm talking about is You Are Amazing. And before we do play that, give us a little bit of background on You Are Amazing.
The subject of the song is it's about my wife. She's a very special person. She has a great gift with people, with inspiring people and talking into people's lives. I don't think she fully understands her gift, but I think somebody needs to tell her. So I
who better than yourself?
I decided to do that in a bit of a humorous way in this song.
Yeah, this is beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Off the album Be the Light, available now. You Are Amazing. Jonas.
Peace and blessings. This is Jonas. Make sure you keep it locked to iLive UK, and don't forget to spread the word and share the link. Peace.
Let me take another look at you. Could what I'm seeing really be the truth? It's kinda hard to believe my eyes. I wanna tell you that you're beautiful, and everybody seems to feel the same, 'cause they smile when I say your name. I'm hypnotized by your energy. You motivate and inspire me. You are amazing. You got me chasing after butterflies, rainbows in the skies. You're amazing. Everything you're saying should be in a book. Let me take another look at you. It's funny how you don't know what you do, the way that everybody looks to you, how they hang on every word you say. You always seem to make a way, and I'm so proud of everything you've done. Girl, I know that you're the only one that makes me feel brand new. I'm in love with everything you do. You are amazing. You got me chasing after butterflies, rainbows in the skies. You're amazing. Everything you're saying should be in a book. Let me take another look at you.
You are amazing. It's as simple as that.
You are amazing.
You are amazing. Goes out to each and every one of you. Listen, a happy new year. Listen, whatever you're doing for 2024, make it a positive one and shine your light bright. Simple as that. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely the pleasure's all mine. So before we do head out of here, I just want to find out a few things that may be happening for you 2024, if you've got any plans and what you're looking to do. We've got this great release that's at the beginning of this year, and we're going to enjoy that throughout the year and beyond. But you got any plans?
Well, the first plan is that I need to celebrate my birthday, and that's happening the day after the release of the album. We're having a party here in Copenhagen, and you are all welcome if you can make it. On Saturday the 13th, I've actually been sitting on this album for quite some time, and I decided that it was a good idea to release it on my birthday, or very close to my birthday, so I could, instead of having both a birthday party and a release party that I had to plan and organize, I could do two in one. So that should be good fun.
What date is that?
Saturday, the 13th of January, in Copenhagen. You can go on my Facebook. There's a Facebook event, so you can get all the details, and it's an open event, so everybody's welcome. There's going to be live music. It's going to be about 25 musicians that I've played with over the years who will be performing with me.
Nice.
So that should be good fun.
Support, people. Support, most definitely.
And then after that, I'm not sure. You know, I'm always working on new music. So now that I've wrapped up this project, I'm looking forward to, getting into the new songs that I'm working on. And if that's going to be another EP or just a couple of singles or a new album, I don't know yet. But of course, I'm going to be working on that, and then also working a lot with the different artists that I'm involved with on my label.
Okay. And do you intend maybe to get back over here to London, UK, or maybe go on tour, depending on...
I have family in London, my wife's family from Croydon. Yeah. So we go back there all the time, and every time I'm back in London, I'm always trying to get in some writing sessions with the people that I've been working with for years, or new people. And I would love to try and hook up some shows in the UK in the near future, if possible. Last time I was in London, I performed at Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club with Natalie Williams' Soul Family Sundays.
Yes,
which is an amazing monthly night with some of the greatest musicians in the UK. The amazing band and amazing venue. I think my favorite venue in London, Ronnie Scott's.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people do say that, acoustically, the vibe that it brings, how you interact with the audience there is up close and personal. Yeah.
I would love to try and do some shows in the UK, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, I definitely look forward to seeing you, whether or not I get out to Copenhagen or when you return to the UK. Look forward to meeting you and chopping up with you again, most definitely. Loving it. So,
anytime.
Just in case people don't know, we already know the website, jonasmusic.dk, JONAS music, or one word, .dk. Where else can they find you via social media? Are you very active on there?
I'm mostly active on Instagram, I would say, and my tag there is Jonas Soul. So in one word, JONASOUL. And I'm on Facebook as well. Not as much, but I'm on there.
Okay.
But if you go on my website,
Yes.
there's links to everything there.
Yeah.
There's links to all the social media, and if you find me on Instagram, there's also a Linktree link with links to everything. There's links to the release birthday party, to all of the different social media, to
doing it all, ladies and gentlemen. This is why we call him the multi-instrumentalist, and you know, he's done all what he's done, the great neo soul artist that he is, father, devotee, he's everything. Plus he does all his social media management and run a label as well. Does it all. Thank you very much. It just leaves me to ask you to sign out with a track from your great catalog and share that with the audience. If you don't mind, you can pick anything that you want from your fabulous catalog.
Okay. Well, maybe a song from the second EP I did during lockdown. The EP is called All Systems Go. And there's 5 songs on there that I think, 4 of them I wrote with UK artists, and then one with it's actually also a UK songwriter on the last one, but also an American artist, Honey La Rochelle, longtime collaborator.
Oh, Honey La Rochelle, yeah.
She's like my family.
I first met her and saw her in, I think, 2019. Yeah, absolutely.
I met her in 2006 when we were touring the first time with my music in the States.
Right.
That was when MySpace was big, and I had put up the dates that we were going to play in New York and Philadelphia, and she contacted me and said, if you don't have a backing singer, I would love to come and do all the shows with you for free, because she loved the music.
Right.
And we met up with her the day before the first show. She turned up with a t-shirt that said, "No money, no honey."
Love it.
She has been one of my closest friends ever since. Every time I go to LA, I'm always staying with her. We do music together, and she's amazing. But yeah, then on that EP, there's a song with Charlene Hector from UK. There's a song that I wrote many years ago with Lyndon David Hall.
Yeah.
There's a song I wrote with Omar. And then there's the song that I would like you to play called Safe, which I wrote with another amazing UK artist called Ego Ella May.
Oh, yes.
And this was before a lot of people knew who she were. She came to my mother-in-law's house, and we sat down in the front room and wrote this on an acoustic guitar many years ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, look, he's name dropping as well. All these big names, and this was before she was where she is at this present moment. All respects goes out to Ego May.
Amazing artist.
Yeah, amazing artist. So the track is called Safe. Before we play it, we're going to say our final goodbyes. It's been a pleasure, an honor, a privilege chopping up with you, being in conversation. You really don't know what it means to us as listeners and avid fans of the great music that you put out there. We thank you, and please continue to do what you're doing throughout the rest of your career, as long as it may live. Thank you. Thank you.
The pleasure's mine. Thank you so much for taking the time out and showcasing my music. I'm deeply honored. Thank you.
And don't forget, Be the Light is available everywhere right about now. Please do cop that. We're going to leave you with this great track from All Systems Go, track entitled Safe. Good night, good day, God bless. See you all later. Bye for now.
God bless you. Hi everybody, it's Jonas, and right now you're listening to some of the best music from around the world on iLive UK.
I found my way, and I refuse to ever turn back again. All this stressing out just don't make no sense. All this pretend plays with my head. Walking the road without a safety net or anywhere to go. My head's in the clouds alone with these thoughts. Effortlessly floats. Then something rocks my boat. I fall down, stumble on something on the ground. Hold on to nothing but your sound, lifting me to a place where I'm safe. Now I can see it's not about what others want me to be. Didn't know that I was lost in the dark, created by me. Come and set me free. Please show me more. I think I'm ready now to go out and explore. Strip myself of all this pride and go back inside. There's nowhere to hide.